Hello, everybody. Welcome to this LinkedIn live stream brought to you by us here at BEC. My name is Daniel Evans. I'm Chief Executive here at BEC, formerly known as Birmingham Enterprise Community. I'm really happy to be joined today by Gio from Midven. Hi, Gio.
Hi, how are you, Daniel?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good. We're just giving it a couple of minutes for people joining in the live. Hello to you, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or over on our Twitter channels. Just to let you know that you will be able to ask questions through the stream. So the way that you do that is you type the questions into the chat, and then we'll pick them up and ask them to Gio at the end of the session. So we're going to have a bit of a conversation and then put all the questions towards the end of the session. So we're here today talking about some really exciting news about the West Midlands Co-Investment Fund, something that's been in the pipeline for a little bit of time now. Obviously, the Combined Authority put out an announcement about the fund a couple of weeks ago, and also announced that Midven will be the people in charge of overseeing this fund.
The fund managers.
Exactly. So we're going to talk a little bit about the fund, why it's been set up, what it's about, and what kind of investments it's looking to make. Again, any questions that you have, please do type them in the chat and we'll pick them up towards the end. So Gio, maybe let's start off by finding out a little bit around who you are, who Midven are, and we can take it from there.
Sure. I'm Giovanni Finocchio, Gio for short. I'm an investment director with Midven. We're part of Future Planet Capital. That's our parent group. We're an investor in early stage businesses. The group, the Future Planet Group, are impact-led investors. They're investing in businesses that are tackling some of the world's challenges, for example, in climate change, education, healthcare, security, that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's a little bit about us. And obviously, I've been at Midven now since 2010 and been investing in the local businesses during that period. Made quite a few investments, had a few successful exits as well. So, yes.
Fantastic, awesome. And to those who have been around in the ecosystem will, of course, aware of the Midven name and what it's done here.
Yeah, we've been in the local ecosystem for over 30 years now, running a number of government-backed funds, invested in high growth potential early stage businesses. So yes, we should be known.
Fantastic, awesome. So obviously we're here today to speak specifically about the West Midlands Co-Investment Fund. So let's start at the beginning then. So kind of how has this fund come about? Where is it and where has it come from?
Well, I think my understanding is that the fund has come about because of the West Midlands Combined Authority, led by Andy Street, wanting to invest in some of the high growth potential businesses that are based within the Birmingham and surrounding areas. Of course, these are in all the local authority surrounding areas, which include obviously Birmingham City Council, the City of Wolverhampton. You've got Coventry City Council involved. You've got Dudley Metropolitan Borough Council, the Sandwell, Solihull, and also Walsall. So the number of authorities have come together, including the mayor, to try and get a fund up and running. And this has been in incubation for quite a number of years, as you're probably all aware. And now it's here. It's ready to go. We're pressing the button anytime soon.
Here we are. Fantastic. Awesome. So tell us then a little bit about what your role as Midven is in terms of as a fund manager.
Okay, yeah, we are the fund manager. So basically, any businesses out there that are looking to raise investment will obviously send their inquiry into ourselves via our website or through any of the advisors that they use who know us well. And we will then review those business plans, etc., to see if they fit the criteria of the fund and hopefully get some investments made. Well, not hopefully, we will make investments in the region because there are lots of very good early stage businesses that need our support.
And of course, then that engagement extends to once the investment's been made, kind of ongoing support?
Of course, yes. As with all investment funds, once you've invested, you've then got to support those investee companies all the way through to exit. And it was more than just money. It's being able to provide a sounding board for those investors, for those founders, particularly the early stage founders, because, this is the first time they're raising investment, for example, then they'll need to understand how we can help, along the path.
Awesome, fantastic. So there'll be people watching this stream either that are entrepreneurs that are running their own businesses, seeking investment, or perhaps people who maybe run organisations like myself where we're supporting entrepreneurs and help them on that journey. So let's start to speak about the kind of thesis for this fund. So what kind of investments is it looking to make? What kind of businesses is it looking to invest into?
Okay, yeah. I mean, the fund is aimed at trying to tackle some of the challenges that the West Midlands Combined Authority have seen as part of their strategic aims, which is obviously advanced manufacturing. You've got creative and digital type businesses, low carbon and environmental technology, logistics and transport is one of the focus areas. And also you've got constructions and building technology. So it's those types of businesses that need investment to really exploit the marketplace.
And what sort of stage do these businesses need to be at?
Well, the businesses all need to have revenue, a minimum revenue around 100,000 a year, and obviously high growth potential. We're looking for obviously companies that are operating in a large market. We're looking to work with founders who have the ability to execute within those markets. And finally, we're also looking to work with founders who have a clear vision on exit, because at the end of the day, we have to return money to our investors, which is obviously the local authority.
And in terms of, I guess, just building on that, any sort of requirements in terms of the size of ticket that you're looking to put into these businesses?
Yes. The fund can invest up to £1 million. It is a co-investment fund, so for every pound that we put in on day one, it needs to be matched by the private sector with at least £1. So therefore, it's a fund that can typically invest up to 2 million alongside our private co-investors. So the initial ticket size, I expect to be around £250,000, which will allow the fund to then continue to support those businesses along their journey. We're unlikely to invest the whole £1 million from the fund in the first go, because we know from the experience of running these types of funds that it will most of the investee companies will require more funding to support their growth.
Yes. Of course. And in terms of just following on that, you mentioned around the co-investment nature of this fund. So where can that private sector investment come from?
It can come from a multiple pool of sources. For example, the local angel group, and which is Minerva is the local angel group. There are lots of family offices in and around the area. So it can come from any of those sources. We've worked well with all private investors in the 30 years or so that Midven's been going. So yes, it can come from any of those sources. The only thing we can't match is obviously other private sector money.
And in terms of the timings around that, so if a business comes to you, do they need to be in a position where they've already secured that money? Or is that something that you could help them with? They've maybe got a part of it, but not the full amount. How do they sit there?
Okay, that's a good question. We can help, obviously, because we have connections with family offices and also the local angel groups. However, if the company's got that co-investment, it will speed up the whole investment process. Because if they've got the match funding there, then it makes it a little bit easier to execute the transaction quickly, rather than having to wait to try and find co-investment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And of course, then for for those businesses who are, looking at this and thinking, well, we hit some of that criteria, the fund size is right, this could be a good fit for us. What would be your advice to them in terms of, before they make that approach, what do they need to think about? What should they have in place?
Okay, well, as long as they have some customers with some traction in the marketplace, obviously over 100,000 of revenue, and they have a clear plan on how to exploit the marketplace, then we're happy to have a look at their plan. I mean, we're often working alongside companies to help them prepare themselves better, because the first plan we receive isn't always the final plan that's agreed.
Yeah, 100%. Anything in terms of that process of evaluation? So if they make the approach and you think, okay, this could be something of interest, take us through a little bit about then what happens behind the scenes to assess that company. So what are the things that you're going to be doing?
Yes. Well, obviously we'll receive the plan, and we'll have a meeting with typically we'll have a meeting if it's of interest to us, with the founders and their team, the senior team this is. We'll get to understand a little bit more about their business, their opportunity in the marketplace, etc. And then we will have 2 or 3 more meetings to really get to understand the proposition, do a little bit more of our own research in the meantime. And then it goes into a process. So, for example, if we like it and we want to make this investment, we will we'll issue an offer letter, so that at least everybody understands what is expected of them and how the investment's going to materialize. And then we'll prepare an internal investment paper, which will go to our investment committee. And if it's approved by investment committee, we'll then go into due diligence and the legals, and hopefully we'll get it completed, provided there's no shocks within the DD. So my advice to the businesses is to make sure that they're ready for investment, so they've got all their company structure lined up, all the shareholders, they've done registered them all at Companies House, for example. There's a number of times where we've looked at the Companies House records and looked at the actual records that the businesses are telling us as shareholders, and the two don't match. So then they've got to spend a little bit more time sorting that out before we can make our investment.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think having all your ducks in order is really important.
Yeah, I mean, for example, we like technology, which often means it's intellectual property. Well, does that intellectual property reside within the business, or is it with an individual? Because as investors, we want the intellectual property to reside within the business rather than held by an individual. So again, make sure that it's then assigned to the company, things of that nature. But if the businesses work with one of the many advisors out in the local area, they'll give them all this information and help them prepare.
Yeah, it's certainly support that I know us and other organisations help with. For those who are maybe kind of thinking, well, what are you talking about in terms of due diligence? Again, it's that process of making sure what you've said is reality is actually the reality.
Exactly. Is everything that you've told us correct and factual? And that's the case, Because if it isn't, then obviously it's going to hinder and slow down the investment process.
Yes, completely. Now, we've got a few questions coming in. I'm going to take one of them now. Keep the questions definitely coming in. I'm going to take one of them now because it was actually the next question I was going to ask. This question from Rohan is, how long does that process usually take? So, of course, I know you've not deployed out of this fund yet, but done it with many others. So how long does that take?
Like I say, the usual process can be as short or as long as it takes to, for everything to be in place. And that could be anything from a couple of months all the way through to 6 months. It all depends on the business itself. Now, obviously, we have to have the matching investment in order for us to complete the transaction. So that could slow down the process if if we're bringing in other investors, which we will have to on this fund. So again, if the company is well prepared, then that process can be shortened.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, awesome. I think always with these kind of things is plan for a bit longer though, because of course,
exactly. I mean, we've done deals within a month, and there's others that we've done, 6 or 7 months later. But typically, it will take between 2 and 4 months, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, fantastic. Next question we're going to take is one from Neil, who said, "Can you match against private money that's already been invested, albeit recently?"
Okay, as long as the investment has been made recently within the last 6 months, then yes, we can match those.
Yeah. So for those that have recently raised, this could be a good option to top that up.
Top that up. That's right. Yes.
Awesome.
Again, we can't really match anything that's been invested 12 months ago.
Yeah, but recently is good. Awesome. And a question from Hardeep: is this fund available for Warwickshire businesses?
I'm afraid not for Warwickshire businesses.
Okay, so maybe to expand on that, tell us a little bit about the geography of the fund.
Okay, the geography of the fund, as I mentioned, the businesses that are applying to us should be paying their council rates to one of those local authorities that I mentioned. So, for example, I'll just look at my list to make sure I get them all correct. It's Birmingham City Council, it's the City of Wolverhampton, you've got the City of Coventry, Dudley Metropolitan Borough Council, you've got Sandwell Metropolitan Borough Council, Solihull Metropolitan Borough Council, and Walsall Council. So if the businesses pay rates to those authorities, then they can apply.
Awesome. So Coventry, yes, but wider Warwickshire.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. And Rohan just asking clarification, just to fully understand, do the matched investors need to be within a permitted list, or can they be from any private/high net worth individuals?
They can be from any private high net worth individuals. Of course, we'd have to do our anti-money laundering to make sure that, we're taking money from the right sources.
Yes, awesome, fantastic. And another question in from Oyen. Hello, Oyen. What's expected rate of growth for the businesses? Is it similar to VC expectations, i.e. 100x in 10 years?
Okay. This is a venture capital fund, and yes, we're expecting high growth businesses, but high growth means different things. For example, we're looking to try and make a minimum of a 10 times return for our investors on each and every opportunity. However, we don't make 10 times on each and every opportunity because some businesses grow at a faster rate than others. So, some of the investments that when we exit, we'll probably make 30 times, but some of them we may make only a couple of times our money.
Okay, awesome. And a question, just to follow on from Owen as well. Do you write checks, so £1 million checks as a lead investor on a round?
We wouldn't lead around with £1 million from this particular fund. And as I mentioned, the fund can write a maximum of £1 million, but then it has to have £1 million of co-investment at the same time. And we're unlikely to write our check for £1 million on day one. Not saying that we wouldn't, but we're unlikely to. And the simple reason is early stage businesses require more than one funding round in our experience. Therefore, we want to be able to leave some firepower in there to be able to support those businesses through their journey.
Awesome, thank you. A couple of questions coming in about the recording. So this session is being recorded and then will be available through LinkedIn, through YouTube, and through our Twitter channel. So if you want to watch it back or you've missed it and want to watch it, then it is available still. Another question in from Rohan, just to continue on. If there is a number of high net worth individuals, is the full raise match or just matching one investor? So can that private money be made up of more than one source?
The private money can be made up of many investors. Yes, as long as it matches pound for pound as a total.
Awesome. We've got a long one here from our friend Davies. Bit more of a comment, a bit of a question. So yet again, as with most funds, pre-revenue businesses are conveniently excluded. Yes, we understand that they're high risk, but are we saying it's impossible to set aside 1 million from a 25 million pound pools to make 50k equity investments into 20 pre-revenue businesses? So in terms of
Sorry, Daniel, you seem to have frozen on my screen.
am I back?
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. My internet dropped out just then. So what I was going to ask is kind of tell us a little bit about why that bit minimum's been set, why this particular fund isn't investing into earlier stage.
Okay, well, as mentioned, early stage businesses are quite high risk opportunities. There are other sources of funding out there to help those early stage businesses. In particular, business angels will invest through SEIS and EIS to get those businesses going. The remit of this fund is to take those businesses that have started to incubate and show promise and then move them and advance them. So it's not there to start businesses up and kick them off. There are other sources of investment for that. It's there to take the most promising ones and really accelerate them.
Okay. So the next one we've got is back and around the matched funding. So what we're saying here is if the match funding's already been raised, clearly there's already a valuation assigned to the business from the previous raise. So what is the process if you view the valuation as different than what's been raised very recently?
Right, I'm not quite sure if I understand the question fully, but I'll try and answer what I think the question is.
So I think it's just on there.
There's a difference. Obviously,
if they've just raised, then there's a difference, yeah.
Yes, obviously, if they've raised the money and we think that that valuation is fair, then we will invest at that valuation. Obviously, if we think that it's overvalued, then we wouldn't go on and make the investment. So again, we've just got to make sure that the companies that are looking to raise investment have not over-egged their valuation, even if they've had investment previously. Now, that doesn't mean to say that if the valuation is, in our opinion, correct, we wouldn't invest alongside that because it's a high valuation. It's horses for courses. We have to look at each individual business on its own merits.
Awesome, fantastic. So the next question from Neil: when will the fund be ready to deploy? So when are you going to be writing those first checks?
Okay, we're taking inquiries from now. So if there's anybody out there listening to this that has an inquiry or has an opportunity, then we're more than happy to have a look at them and start getting them ready. We expect the first few investments to be made anytime after May. So we're waiting for the launch event, which is imminent. So more news following soon. And yes, we're ready to start investing as soon as. But bearing in mind that if we start to receive those inquiries now, it's going to take a few months to go through the process. So by the time we've had a look at those opportunities, we'll be ready to deploy.
Fantastic, awesome. A question in from Craig. So can the fund be used for an initial round and then again for follow-on rounds? So does this fund enable follow-on investment?
Yes, as I mentioned, the fund has the ability to invest up to £1 million in any one opportunity, and we typically would likely to invest somewhere in the region of £250,000 as our first ticket, and therefore, yes, there's scope to invest further and follow on.
Fantastic. Question in from Ellie: how important is a people plan when companies are going for investment?
Well, people are the most important thing within an investment because obviously they're going to execute on the investment, on the business plan. So first and foremost, we've got to believe in the team And secondly, we've got to believe in their plan to, if they are recruiting more people in the team.
Yeah.
So yes, very important.
Extremely important, 100%. And another question for Rohan. How do we get in touch to send decks? He said he's connected with you on LinkedIn, but doesn't think that that's the most appropriate route.
No, I agree. You can always email us individually, but there is an email, inquiries@midven.co.uk. So yes, go to our website. There'll be a page with the specific fund, and you can make your inquiry from that page.
Awesome, fantastic. And we'll just give it a minute or two. We're just coming up towards the end of the stream. So any final questions, please do add them in now before we finish up. As we said, the recording will be available. And also, of course, you can send your questions in after. So a question that's come in from Dan. Which sectors are most likely to get investment? Okay.
It is an agnostic fund, so we can invest in most sectors. Again, it's more to do with how good is the product, the service, and the opportunity, and how good are the team to execute.
Yeah, fantastic. This question that's come in that says, "Are you posting a link to the fund here? Is there information on a particular landing page about the fund?"
There will be a landing page created on the Midven website, yes.
Awesome. So that's where we'll signpost people to. Awesome. And I think we will start to wrap up. So thank you to everybody that's watched. Thank you, Gio, for joining us and taking these questions. I think, again, maybe just Hugh has kindly shared the link in the chat there. So thank you very much, Hugh, Gio's colleague at Midven. So, yeah, let's just sum it up. So kind of closing remarks in terms of for those businesses that you think this is fit for those watching from the ecosystem who are working with businesses, just give us those key takeaways again. So what are we looking out for? What are we investing into? How to get in touch?
Okay, the key thing is if there are businesses out there that have got high growth opportunities, so they've got a large marketplace to go after and they are growing it at a very good rate, then please just send us an inquiry and we can then judge them individually rather than just say, no, we're not doing this and we're not doing that.
Perfect. There we go. Thank you very much, Gio. Enjoy the rest of your day. To everybody watching, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the recording, thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Daniel Evans, Chief Executive here at BEC. Gio, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you all again very soon. Goodbye.
Thank you, Daniel. Bye. Bye, everybody.